Book Blitz! Welcome back to Twilight, everyone, and this is the grand finale. This is the climax of everything that has happened in this entire book so far. We have still got a couple chapters after this to go, but this is where everything happens, where the shit gets real. So this is chapter 22, Hide and Seek. After her horrifying phone call with James, Bella comes out of the room she was in, and she's surprised to find that Alice is like doubled over and she's having another vision, and she's extremely agitated. And she finally calms down after her episode, and Jasper comes in and he helps calm her down and stuff. And Alice is able to kind of just play it off. She's obviously perturbed by something. She saw something that greatly disturbed her in her vision, but she's letting it go for now, or seems to be at least. Bella asks Alice how her visions work, and Alice explains that basically it's you sort of explained this a little bit last time, Dylan, but it's basically that when it comes to actions of individual people, she can sort of see what they might do and what will probably happen as a result of those decisions that they're making. But when they change that decision, then the vision could change. Because people are fluid and flexible. So Bella suspects that Alice saw some sort of vision that was very bad when Bella made the decision that she's going to go along with what James wants and try and escape them and go to James. So they go to the airport, and Bella manages to slip away from Alice and Jasper. She knows this airport very well from when she used to live here, and she knows that there's a particular bathroom that has two different entrances. So she goes in one entrance, she tricks Jasper, she goes in one entrance, goes out a different one, and makes a break for it. She just sprints and sprints. She gets in a taxi and she drives off toward her mom's house. She gets there and goes inside, and no one's there, which surprises her. And she sees that there's a phone number written down next to the telephone. She makes the call, and I'm making the same mistake now, damn it. And James answers. You've ruined me with your alternate names, your alternative facts.
Look, man, just,
So on the phone, James tells Bella about the ballet studio, which of course Bella already knows about because of Alice's visions. And so she makes a break for it. She goes sprinting toward the ballet studio to go save her mom. She finally arrives, and she bursts inside, and she hears her mom's desperate voice calling out again, Bella, Bella. And it's the exact same tone that she had before, hysterical panic. And she runs into this room and discovers a home movie from when she was a little kid of her mom yelling for her safety, basically. Bella was about to fall in some water, and her mom was calling out of fear that she was going to fall in. And this is on a home video, and that is the voice that she's been hearing this whole time. It is her mom's voice, but it's not her mom she's hearing. So James comes up behind Bella. She sees what's on the TV, and they have a standoff, and they talk for a little bit, and James is mostly just gloating. This is kind of the stereotypical supervillain gloating about his brilliant plan thing, but it works in this situation because, again, of the vulnerability we talked about last time. This isn't just some supervillain gloating to a superhero about how great everything went. This is basically the hunter gloating to his prey in a very real feeling way. And so the vulnerability really kind of plays into this it takes it from being just a very cliche gloating to actually being very threatening in and of itself. It really works very well. So James brags that Edward is going to come after him and hunt him, and he's going to do terrible things, and he's going to kill Edward because that's what he's really wanted all along. He really wants What he really wants is for Edward to come looking for him after he kills Bella. That's the hunt he's really been wanting this whole time. Bella mentions that she had left Edward a letter saying basically, please don't go after James. Don't hunt him. Just let it go. And James is like, really? Well, how about I leave my own letter for Edward? So he pulls out a video camera and he's basically going to just film the whole process of him killing Bella and leave the video for Edward to lure him into hunting him. Then we have kind of this is probably the weakest part of the whole finale, honestly. It's like we talked about, I guess, 1 or 2 episodes ago about how there's this whole thing where we find out Alice's origin story, and it's kind of just clunkily forced in, I think. It just doesn't really work to me. We have James basically bragging about how there used to be a vampire who cared very much for this human, and then the human, James himself actually killed the vampire, did the exact same thing right now that he's wanting to do in this situation with Edward and Bella, and he almost killed Alice, and she was like in a mental institution, which is why she can't remember anything. It's kind of forced. It basically, Alice was turned into a vampire because of James. That's what really matters. So after finding out this shocking and forced revelation, at long last, James is ready to actually attack. And so he's about to kill Bella, and she finally has at least some survival instincts kick in. She tries to run away, but James is right there in a flash, and he knocks her over. And he sends her flying into one of the ballet studio mirrors. And she just smashes into it, and she's in horrible pain. And James comes up, and he's filming the whole thing, obviously. And he comes over, he breaks Bella's leg, and he's, he breaks Bella's leg, and she's in horrible pain. And then he's trying to goad her into begging Edward to come and avenge her. And he's like, don't you want Edward to come and save you? And she's like, no, Edward, no. And he attacks her again. But this time, blood gets drawn. She gets cut on the forehead. And now, because of the blood, he's being driven into a frenzy where he can't drag this out any longer. And so he finally bites her. But the next thing she knows, Bella just completely passes out. And she hears just this cacophony, just this series of roars and crashes and bangs and all sorts of terrible noises, and she just passes into a coma.
See, my version is actually somewhat different.
Okay.
Only slightly. So in my version, it's not that he just happens to start bleeding, and so she just kind of goes into feeding mode. In my version, she really toys with Edward. She beats him up. She wrecks him. She breaks legs. She breaks his ribs. Throws him against the wall. He ends up vomiting, and he's just sitting there broken, unable to move, lying in his own vomit. And then he tries to destroy the camera when she's not looking because she left it right next to him, and then that fails. And then she actually one thing, she talks about Archie's whole thing about how she created Archie, which does feel come on, really, just a random group of vampires are coming through town, and that's the vampire that was there the day that Archie was made. You know what I mean? In the whole steel and the whole whatever. I don't know. It did kind of seem meh, I think the main thing is it doesn't matter that's going on. The thing that to me it matters that it's going on and there's no connection to what's actually happening other than she's the vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
It has no relevance to the plot itself. It has relevance to Archie's character development, sure, but it doesn't Like
as far as this book in particular goes, though, it's like
you
it
could
just
you could you
feels
could literally cut
yeah.
that out and it would be no more or less. You know what I mean? Like it would just.
Right. Well, it would be more actually, honestly, I think.
But
But
yeah, you see. Anyway, it's. But anyway, it's just like. But in my version, she actually bites him on purpose, and then like pulls back, like bites him, and then kind of goes into a half frenzy, but is trying to like keep herself from biting him. So she's kind of like just freaking out. Um,
yeah.
and then um, and then that's when everyone comes in and saves him. Uh, and he kind of collapses from his pain.
Interesting. So
Uh,
Joss is like it's a very intentional
yeah,
trying to
because she's
turn.
trying to like, because she wants him to really hurt. Like she's trying to make him have as much pain as physically possible. And so what do? You do the vampire thing, but you don't let it go all the way, so that like at some point you do kill him, but you make him like burn alive first, um, so to speak. Like that's the whole thing.
That's it. So Joss is, I mean, James is very calculating, and then he kind of loses control. But even in that, it sounds like Joss is a more, at least from maybe I'm just misremembering the original. But I mean, as far as I remember, it's not really like that. Like it's once he starts losing control, he starts losing control, and like it's I don't remember. I don't think in the original biting is like this intentional additional thing. I think it's more like he's like overcome by bloodlust.
Yeah.
Like
See, like mine just doesn't have that at all. But she almost gets overcome, but she like with like restrains herself as much as she can.
yeah.
Um, and so like and that's but they still come in and save him. But that okay. All this said, all this stuff happening right now, right here, right now. Okay, like we're talking about vampires here, vampires. Okay, vampires. Like I mean, I guess they technically might not know where. That's not true. They know where Bo's mom's house is. They know, like Bo told them about the studio. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Bo's fucking slow. He's a human being. He had to like get on a bus. Then he takes a taxi. Then he gets there. He goes to mom's house first. Then he gets to the ballroom. You see what I'm saying? Like if you were a vampire and you could run like super speed, you know what I mean? And like if Bo's not back like instantaneously from the bathroom because he's fucking, you know, I don't know, under attack, like you know you're aware. You're considering these facts. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right. Well, and especially because at this point, Alice slash Archie has seen a vision that heavily implies that something is going to go wrong with all their plans.
yeah,
So
like
even a greater sense of heightened like awareness and caution.
like you know by the time Bo got onto the bus, Jessamy would probably have already figured everything out. You know what I mean? And like would be like running after the bus. You know what I mean? Like I don't see why she didn't go to the bathroom with him. You know what I mean? Even like she's a vampire. She can like disappear whenever she wants to. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to it's not a thing. Like she doesn't have to worry about being discovered. If she doesn't want to be discovered, she isn't discovered. Um and so I don't know. It's just that's weak. And like Archie knows what's happening. Like Archie at least knows something's up at best. At worst. Otherwise, he actually knows the whole plan, and he's already seen the studio in the room anyway. So like, I just don't feel like that Joss or James would really have the time that he took with Bo or Bella to kind of really just like, yeah, let's just do a lot of exposition. Let's like talk about why I'm doing this. I'm gonna beat you up some. We're gonna record a little bit. You know, it's gonna be a whole thing, a whole day affair. Like, nah, man, like you're just not gonna have that time. You know, before the entire family converges on you. Um, like immediately. Like they should have like predicted where he was going and then met and like been there beforehand. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have been that difficult. Particularly when you consider the fact that they had actually purposefully relocated to a house, a room closer to where Bo's mom's house at one point. And then, and the dance studio is not that far from mom's house, if I remember correctly. Like, anyway. So, but
yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it's like,
but at some point,
suspension of disbelief. Like, if that did happen, we wouldn't have our finale. Is the
thing.
You
know, it's a story where everyone's angels. Like, at some point, you gotta like have tension and crazy stuff happening, and like,
right.
The argument will always be, well, they're fucking super angel people. You know what I mean? Like, they can do anything, and like, legitimate though that argument is, you still gotta have a story. So,
right. So and like, there's some of those things that's like, totally that is the case, and that, you know, there is in some sense a plot hole there, but it's also like, it's like you said, you know, you gotta, sometimes you have to put the story itself and telling a good story above even the logic of the story to a degree, because all of this still does maintain a semblance of plausibility enough that it doesn't just feel totally off, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, well, I guess this coming chapter is probably the one where our stories diverge the most, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. So next time, everybody, on Twilight, it's going to be chapter 23, The Angel. Until then, book Blitz.